All right, so what the boys just did, they just cleared the line to make sure we're pumping in all clean water. Andrew's gonna dump dirty water out of that pond.
All right, so we're here to take apart the skimmer and clean it out. So there's main components of the skimmer. The first one is the basket, and that's gonna catch all the biggest matter, all the nasty stuff. It's gonna be stuff like leaves and dead plants and stuff like that. All these slimy frog eggs, look at that. So much protein. And then, where'd that little guy go? I know I saw him and he's gonna jump out at me and scare me. There he is. Frogs will occasionally get in there, but he's just chilling. It's just his little apartment. Now, so that's what we do. The first, we get all that stuff out of there, clean that out. The next component, if leaves or anything gets through, it goes into this mat. This is probably mostly fish poop. It's like 10 pounds of fish poop. So we get all that washed out and we clean all that out so it can handle more poop afterwards. And then our final step for us, there's a lot of water inside the line going to the waterfall. So just when we're cleaning it so we can save as much water as we can, we like to open that up. You probably can't see it, but we just let the waterfall drain back into here so we can save as much of that good healthy water as we can to put it back into the pond at the end. The final thing that some skimmers have is called the Ionizer Probe. And this probe takes care of all the string algae and it shoots back and forth between the copper. This is what it looks like when it does a really good job and it keeps all the algae out of your pond for a couple of years. Now this one is pretty broken down. I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. That's a big difference. So this is letting you know that this is doing a good job in keeping all the string algae out. So we're just gonna pull the old switcheroo, put this guy in there, and we're ready to go for another couple of years.
A lot of plant dividing time. So the one I'm going to focus on first, I'm going to focus on all these plants eventually, but this thalia here, you can see that it's actually grown to the extent of the pot. And we're only in April, so in a couple more months, this thing is going to be absolutely huge. So one of the things we do to keep plants under control and to help them look their best in your pond is we call it plant division. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this plant, I'm actually going to flip it over in my waste container. I'm going to cut out a small plug of that plant, put it in a new pot, but first I have a 2-year fertilizer that goes underneath, so that way for 2 years now, that's temperature release nutrients for that plant. New soil on top of the fertilizer. Then my plug of plant goes in with more premium topsoil. It's got a lot of nutrients. Pack that in real tight. Cover it with river gravel so that the dirt does not foul up the pond. And now that plug of plant has room to grow, nutrients, and it's going to look beautiful for the next couple of years. So that's what we're doing today, and it helps keep pond under control. Plants don't get overgrown and start growing into areas you don't want them to, and it allows your enjoyment level to be sky high.
Goes right into the net.
Oh, he made.
That's crazy.
If you look right there, See all the schmutz from the fish tunnel in the pond getting flushed out.
Good?
Yeah.
All right, so now that we've done the skimmer, the water that we got out of the lines has drained down, and now we have to take apart the biofall. So there's two main filtering components of the biofall. The first are these bags of bio balls, and these little plastic balls, they have beneficial bacteria on them, and that beneficial bacteria lives in here and breaks down anything that comes through the system, from physical matter to poop and stuff like that, and it breaks it down into usable materials like phosphorus and nitrates and nitrites and a bunch of stuff in 7th grade. So we get 3 bags of those out for a pond this size. And we actually, amazingly enough, cleaned this filter, what, Andrew, like 2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And this is how dirty it is already again. The next thing underneath that, the big filtering matter, are these huge mats. Now these are actually not too bad compared to what they usually will be. So you can see how light it is. This sometimes will be 25 pounds filled with, once again, fish poop, frogs, leaves, stuff like that. So we take all this stuff out and we actually clean it using the water from the pond, because that beneficial bacteria doesn't want to use city water because it has chlorine and it can kill it. So we take the water that we're flushing the whole pond with and we rinse these guys out, give them a good beat down, and they get nice and cleaned out, but the beneficial bacteria gets to stay living and breaking down everything else. So once we start back up the pond, it'll be business as usual.
So what I'm sitting on is a 1,500 gallon tub. What this has is mostly pond water, a little bit of tap water. And the reason for that is we could use it for flushing, we could use it to refill the pond. What we do involves a lot of water, so we need to store a lot of water. This tub right in front, I don't know if you can see it, this is 1,000 gallons, not full yet. That tub right there, another 1,000 gallons. There's 2 tubs over there. They're 500 each. That's where we keep the fish, because they're nice rigid tubs. They don't collapse in on themselves like this guy. This is strictly a bladder for water storage. Those are for wildlife storage. Here we are. It's been, I don't know, I don't have a watch, probably about 6 hours since we started, and now we're here. The pond probably needs about 1,200 more gallons for the bog to be full and for everything to be started up as normal. Right now we have the skimmer running and the waterfall's at half mast. The 2 fountains are running. It's good enough for right now, and probably 3 or 4 more hours. It's gonna be totally full and ready to roll, and we'll have a follow-up video then of how freaking awesome it's gonna look. You'll be able to count gravel on the bottom. It's gonna be too clean. If you have a pond that needs servicing, check us out. We'd love to help you, at least talk about it, give you some pointers.